They have all four grandparents in their lives, and they see them all the time in person, but they also see them all the time on Facetime. They're interacting with them every day. It's so unlike how I talk to my grandparents. My dad put me on the phone with my grandmother once a year, the way a kidnapper would put a hostage on the phone with the police. He would say hello to your grandmother, and I'd be like, hello, and then he'd grab the phone back. He's like, now you know the boy's alive. Put $5 in a birthday card and leave it under the highway overpass. I love having my parents around my kids. It's one of the most special things you can experience in life. I love it so much. The only thing that's hard is that your parents are always going to have a different parenting style from when they did it to the parenting style that you're currently using now. Again, my dad was a dad of young. Admit something, I'm not sure our modern parenting style is working. I'm not seeing the day-to-day results. Like the other day, my 8-year-old just bit my 6-year-old. Just fully bit him. They weren't even wrestling. He just saw him across the room, and I just watched him think, I'm gonna go bite him right now. He was like a robot that was like, initiate biting protocol. And he went over and he bit him so hard, and then he said, I didn't bite him. And I was like, look at the teeth marks. I could take your brother's arm to an orthodontist right now, and they could fit you for Invisalign. And I was so mad, I never do this. I grabbed my son and I said, you're gonna have a timeout in the other room. And I put him in a room and I slammed the door. And my plan was just to make him spend 5 minutes thinking about how badly he behaved. Just 5 minutes reflecting on the consequences of his actions. But I'm such a modern wuss, I could only make it like 2.5 minutes before I started thinking, oh my God, he's gonna be in therapy the rest of his life. This is a trauma he'll never recover from. I have to go in and let him know he's my little slugger and I'm always gonna love him no matter what. And I opened the door expecting to see him in a puddle in the middle of the room on the floor. And not only was he not there, he was leaning against the window, looking out across the city, not a care in the world. He looked like he was in a French New Wave film. All that was missing was a beret and a cigarette. Did that bite him? Perhaps. But in life, you're either the biter or the bitter. I'll tell you this. I have a theory, guys. My theory is this. I think my kids are going to yell at their kids. I think it skips a generation. And I think at night, my boys are in their bunk bed talking about it and saying, when I grow up, I'm not going to do that ineffective bullshit dad does. I'm gonna get loud like grandpa. And the other one was like, oh, totally. I'm not gonna be a beta cuck like dad. Invalidate your feelings? Bitch, grow up. My wife thinks the world can help us be better parents, and she's always sending me Instagram videos of Instagram moms who are trying to share their wisdom. My take is if they look too well put together, I just think they have different kinds of kids than ours. Like, if they have a blowout and a ring light, I'm just like, I don't think this is meant for us. And they often have very cryptic advice. My wife sent me one where it was a woman just very calmly saying, positive feedback is really important for a child. If you tell your child in the morning that you like their handwriting, they're less likely to punch a sibling at night. Now, I don't know if that's true or not because I never remember it until it's too late. Like, they'll just be wailing on each other in the corner and I run over and I'm like, I like your handwriting! There is an Instagram mom I really like, a style of Instagram mom. It's the one who's like barely keeping it together and they're shooting their video like Blair Witch Project style on their phone. And they're like hiding in the closet before their kids can find them. They're like, hi, I don't have a lot of time. We figured out a way to get Sharpie off wallpaper. What you have to do is, oh no, they found me! My wife and I are both incredibly close with our parents, and I think it's one of the first things we connected on. We thought if we started our own family, maybe we would have kids that want to hang out as much with us as we want to hang out with our parents. With that said, our families also have some differences. For example, when I was growing up, the rule at the dinner table was never speak unless spoken to. If you do speak, have it be relevant to the conversation at hand. And certainly never talk until the person who's currently talking has finished. Whereas I feel like in my wife's family, the rule was, as soon as you think something, say it out loud. Ideally, try to start saying it before you finish thinking it. Try to hear the completed thought outside your head with your ears for the very first time. Another cool thing my wife's family does is they will call a restaurant to order delivery, and it's only when they're on the phone with the restaurant that they ask everybody else what they want. They will low-key criticize the restaurant on the phone with the restaurant. They'll be like, should we get the dumplings? And from across the room, someone will be like, no, their dumplings are soggy. We're not gonna get the dumplings. My wife's family is Jewish, which I haven't said yet, but I have told you. If there's one thing Jewish people agree on, I would love to know what that is. I really want to stress, these jokes are all pro-Semitic. I love my Jewish wife. I love my Jewish children. I have incredible in-laws. The best thing about my in-laws is they're very easy to find. If you're ever looking for them, they're in the middle of my fucking business. Knock. We have a tricky conversation coming up with our children because my wife's grandparents were Holocaust survivors. And obviously that's something we're going to have to explain to them one day. The problem with kids is sometimes they will ask you a question before you're prepared on how to answer it, and they sort of force your hand. And the other day, my wife said to one of our sons, "You're so lucky you know all four of your grandparents. Your grandmother didn't know any of her grandparents." And he said, "What happened to them?" And she said, "They all died in a war." And he said, "Were they soldiers?" And she said, "Not everyone who dies in a war is a soldier." And then he paused for a second and said, "Oh, were they drummers?" Because he'd seen a Revolutionary War picture book. And quite smartly, may I say, deduced that while the soldiers are obviously in grave danger, these drummers up front are dead men. What a bad time to be good at drumming the Revolutionary War. Maybe the worst time ever to be good at drumming. And I bet when you heard word that they were looking for drummers, you got so excited. You're like, oh my God, that's great. We don't have to fight. We'll stay back and rehearse for a concert. And then whenever the survivors get here, we'll do a gig for them. And so they raised their hand. They were like, I know how to drum. And they're like, great, go strap it on and stand up front. And they were like, up front? And they're like, yeah, it's going to be you, another drummer, and a flute guy. And the flute guy was like, actually, it's a fife. And they're like, not now, flute guy. My wife argues that I should convert to Judaism. Her argument is everybody already assumes that I'm Jewish. Not a bad argument. I'm a quarter Jewish. Every Jewish person I've ever met has said, you're Jewish, right? I'm also a quarter Swedish. Not one Swedish person has ever said, shmorgity, borgity, borgity, borg. That's how they talk, guys. I'm not going to apologize for how they talk. Why would the Muppet Show lie to me? That's how Swedish people talk, and this is how lab assistants talk. Me, 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 me. I recently found out some things about my lineage because I did this incredible show on PBS called Finding Your Roots with Professor Henry Louis Gates. It's a wonderful show, great show. He's a brilliant man. And I found out some things about my family that I hadn't known before. I found out I descended from Lithuanian Jews. Lithuanian Jews famous for coining the expression, "We got to get the fuck out of Lithuania." But I was a bad subject for the show Finding Your Roots because I am not easily shocked or amazed. And the best thing about that show is when they reveal information to you about your lineage and you are shocked and amazed. And because I'm not easily shocked and amazed, it was just a bad episode. Like, for example, at one point, Henry Louis Gates looked at me and said, "We tracked down one of your ancestors to the year 1650. We found their name written in a town ledger from the year 1650. How does that make you feel, knowing we tracked back a relative of yours to the year 1650? And all I could manage was, "Well, I mean, I knew I came from people." It's not like he was like, "Your great-great-grandmother was a mermaid." He did shock me once, but it was by accident. You sit across from him, and there's a table between you, and on the table is a big book full of information. And he tees up the story, and when he tees up the story, he asks you to turn the page to reveal the information. And at one point, he said to me, "You're a performer." And I said, "I'm a performer." He said, "Do you know anyone else in your family tree who's a performer?" And I go, "I don't know a single other person in my family tree who is a performer." And he said, "Why don't you turn the page?" 'Cause